And speaking of finances, mortgages and rental payments usually take the biggest bite out of your household budget. When it comes to home ownership versus renting, Detroit has seen a shift in the numbers. One Detroit looked at the current housing market in the city and the increasing demand for rental properties. Take a look.
Our focus has been rehab to restore what's already here because they just don't build them like this anymore.
Lisa Johnson is bringing back the Casa Mira, built in 1925, just north of Midtown's Fisher Building. We're in the lower part of Detroit's North End.
Oh, it looks clean. So we sat on it for a year trying to figure out what we were going to do and what its purpose was, and then it was 3 years of finding the money.
When the funding came together, the rush was on, because this part of Detroit needs more apartments.
They're very spacious units. They're great. And the location, this is going to be a very easy sell. We have people who want to move in here already. We've said waiting list.
But the opportunity is great because there's a huge demand for rental properties in the city versus single family, particularly in the Central Business District and Wilbur Corridor.
Melinda Clemens works for Capital Impact Partners, a nonprofit community projects developer. She studied the Woodward Corridor's resurgence and the changing housing market in Midtown.
And Midtown Detroit just didn't happen overnight, too. You got to think that this has been 30 years in the making. It's really been a block by block renovation of the area.
And as Detroit is making all these strides and attempting to attract a younger crowd of people living here, folks are going, I don't need a single family home that's 1,800 or 2,000 square feet to live in anymore. I'm looking for something a little more compact, and I think that's what makes multifamily housing very attractive for a lot of people.
Here, the younger crowd added to the demand, but citywide. The 2008 recession forced a lot of former homeowners into rentals when the mass foreclosures hit.
A lot of people who have lost their home do not want to buy another home, and they can't, right, because of their credit. And so renting really sort of has been the shift from the recession, and not necessarily just in Detroit, nationwide.
These days, developers have been flipping Midtown apartment buildings as fast as they can. Demand drives the rehabs, new construction, and rental rates.
The rental rates now are really going close to $2 a square foot. So compare that to 5 years ago, where they were closer to just over $1 a square foot.
That means Midtown prices aren't for everyone. Up in the North End, Johnson's Central Detroit Christian Community Development Corporation has been fixing single-family homes for years, well more than 100 so far.
And the housing that we've rehabbed and that we do rehab on an ongoing basis, it is all designed for low to moderate income families.
I call it my little dollhouse. It's everything I want.
Jamila McCrae has lived her whole life in the North End. Now she's renting a flat a few blocks from her parents. Rehabbed by Central Detroit Christian.
It's very affordable, and the good thing about it is I can afford the rent and also have money left over to take care of my family. If I wanted a market rate apartment, it would just like take all my check, you know? Who wanna just work just to pay for their rent?
Even working full-time at a suburban hospital, McCrae qualifies for low-income housing support. The general rule, no more than a third of your take-home pay should go for rent to avoid financial trouble.
This week we are continuing the framing of walls up on the 4th floor. And
So first, second, and third are all framed,
yeah,
and we're on the 4th already.
yeah.
That's amazing.
When they're done up there, the roof will then be fully supported so we can tear that off and start a rebuild.
The Casa Mira will offer 44 apartments when it's ready to occupy, expected in July.
Almost 40% are going to be for low to moderate income families, and then the remaining units will be for market rate.
Like much of Detroit, the North End has its share of blight, but it borders Midtown, where, as they say in the real estate game, location is everything. And the North End is seeing the benefits.
For us in this community, some of that is this Midtown creep. You know, as some people have been outpriced who live in Midtown, they're looking at this neighborhood as the next step up from, moving northward, and they're going, oh, there's some cool housing here.